Hey guys, it's May December, it's me, and I'm back again with another review, and this time it's of Larry Cohen's 1984 thriller, Perfect Strangers, which, I have to be honest, wasn't such a bad movie. When it started, I was a little bit like, meh, but yeah, by the time it finished, I really liked it. So, it starts off with this mafia hitman leading a guy down an alleyway, and then he stabs him. He stabs him right in the chest, and then he slits his throat. But there's a witness, and that witness is 3-year-old Matthew. Now I don't know why Matthew's outside on his own, even though there's a gate there. It seems a little bit dangerous because he puts his hand under, like he probably could have got pulled under, God knows what. But this is the 80s. Remember that throughout the rest of the movie. So his mother comes out, Sally, grabs hold of him, finds out there's a dead body, and the police arrive. But when she lifts him up, she grabs him like this. And you're like, is she trying to suffocate her own son? Anyway, very, very weird way of picking up her son. Uh, she takes him inside, and then Johnny, who's the guy who killed the guy, goes back to his boss and tells him that he basically was witnessed by a little 3-year-old boy. And the boss tells him, you've got to kill the boy and you've got to kill her, right? Otherwise, we're going to have to kill you, right? So he's like, did that kid recognize me? Did he recognize me? I don't think he recognized me. So he runs around basically trying to see if he recognizes him. And the mum Sally, says to him, why you keep following us? Do you like what you say? And he goes, maybe. And she goes, I ain't had any in a while. And he goes, oh, has it been that long? And she goes, uh-huh. And then she lets him carry Matthew for her while they walk around some shops, and then she asks him out on a date. In New York, I guess. I guess that's how they work in New York in the 80s. So they start dating, and they start having this rampant sex, this really intense sexual connection between them. And he's all over her, she's all over him. You get shots of her, shots of him, all romantic, all doing stuff with a great soundtrack going on in the background. And then you see their relationship kind of building. Not enough, not as much as you'd like, really, because it does feel a little bit rushed in that sense. But throughout the whole time, he's playing with Matthew. He's trying to see if Matthew's this, if Matthew knows what he did, if Matthew realizes who he is. He even does these kind of things. Like mentions E.T. And when Pill found out the truth about that, they got sick. And he's constantly trying to figure out, does Matthew know? And then you've got the mob threatening him, saying, you've got to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be dead. And, you know, keep threatening him. So the pressure's on poor Johnny. And then you've got Fred, the ex-husband, who's Matthew's dad, who, from what I gathered, was very abusive to Sally, telling her such things like, oh, dress this way, do this, do that, do this, do that, you know, and it got to her. So she left him because he was very abusive. And at one point, he tries to kidnap Matthew. So you're like, uh-oh, what's going to happen between him and Johnny in the future? So you have that. Then there's the friendships of Sally, who are basically these feminist women who are very protective of her, very against the men in her life for obvious reasons, because they're all abusive and horrible in their own way. And I find the movie has this real kind of social commentary about feminism, about abusive relationships, about the problems between abusive relationships and kids in between, and then the whole thing about how you can meet somebody because you might want to have some happiness, but sometimes you trust people way too much before you really should. And I find that happens with Sally in this movie. So the film as well has this 80s kind of dreamy, like, yeah, dreamlike glow to it, which kind of is really weird because it's really, really like bright at times, like in the old horror movies of years where they'll be like in a warehouse and you get that glow and it kind of has this fuzz on the screen in a way. I know I'm not explaining that right, but that's basically what it's like throughout the whole movie. The soundtrack's great. The tension in the movie is phenomenal at points. Like there's a bit where Johnny is being followed by a guy and you're like, what's he going to do? You know? And he leads him somewhere and then, you know, things happen. And then you get these other parts where you feel, you go, oh, does he care about Matthew now? Does he love Matthew? Does he care about him? Does he care about Sally, or is he still using her? But you get these moments where he's sitting there and you can tell he's thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm being threatened. My life's over if I don't do this. And there's also this other thing I've noticed with Johnny as well, where he goes, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me. And he'll spray paint like this shadow of himself, which is like the dark figure of his character and probably the darkness that's supposed to be inside him, you know. There's a great part in it as well where Sally's friend Mulder says to her, men have put us in the kitchen and trained us to be there, but what they don't realise is that's where all the sharp objects are, right? Now you might go, huh? But it all comes back in the end. It all comes back in the end. And as soon as she said that, I knew exactly what was going to happen. And I was like, But when it come to the ending, I knew what was going to happen in my mind, but I didn't know what was going to happen. And the twist at the end kind of really had me thinking. I actually, in the end, felt bad for Johnny. And I actually kind of thought to myself, oh, I wonder what would have happened, you know, if he had explained to her, if he'd have done this, done that, you know. I really felt like the movie was a really good, tense, atmospheric movie with a lot going for it. And I feel like it's one of Larry Cohen's good movies, if you ask me. You know, I've seen a few of them, and this one was pretty good. And I'm really glad I got to watch it today. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. Some of the dialogue is very stiff, and some of the things they say in the movie is like really inappropriate for today's standards. You know, I'm not going to repeat any of it because I could probably get kicked off of YouTube for saying it. But if you watch the movie, you'll get what I mean. You know, but overall, yeah, it's a pretty decent movie, and I would recommend giving it a go. 4 out of 5. It's one of those films where when you go into it, don't expect much, and you'll probably get more out of it. And that's probably what happened with me with the movie, to be honest, because there's some great cinematography, some great shots, some great atmosphere, some great tense moments. You just feel bad for the boy in the end because you're like, wow, how scarred is this boy with his dad and with Johnny and with his mum? You know, you're just like, what's going to happen to that poor boy when he gets older? But it is a good film. It's decent. One of the better films I've watched lately. I would recommend giving it a go if you can. 4 out of 5 stars. Let me know what you think down below. And I look forward to hearing from you. If you haven't already, subscribe. And thanks for the support. And thanks for joining me. And I'll see you on the next review. Thanks, guys. Take care.